Hello and welcome to the SEGA Nerdcast, episode 86. I am Chris, the editor of SEGA Nerds. And with me this week, we have Marcin and Kopke. How's it going, guys?
Hello, everyone.
What's up?
What up?
And joining us for the first time is Vinnie Crisafulli. How's it going, buddy?
Pretty well, thanks.
Now, Vinnie, you and I met a couple years ago at Too Many Games in Oaks, Pennsylvania. It was really cool because I didn't realize that you were you to create homebrew like Sega and NES games. Is that right?
Yeah, not. There are people out there who do this, but I think I don't know. If you look at all the internet posts, there might be like maybe 30 or 40 Nintendo developers, maybe 20-some Sega developers, but that's like worldwide. But that's the people who post. I mean, there are probably more people who don't, but yeah, it's a very small field, but people do it.
Yeah, and I think we'll get into it a little bit more later on, but you're really unique in that you do some pretty cool stuff when it comes to developing your games and also some of the physical versions of the games, which is some of the things that I really love about your work. So, but we'll get into that more here in a bit because we're going to do a full interview with you once we go through the introductions. But start us off, Marcin, why don't you start us off and just tell us what you've been up to, buddy, because it's been a while since, not only since we've done a Nerdcast, but since you've been on as well, isn't that right?
Yeah, probably, what, February maybe? I think it's been that long. Yeah, it's been pretty hectic this past week, so not too much gaming, but when I do sit down and have the time to, play something, it's mainly Mortal Kombat X, and there's a lot of cheap asses on there, but somehow, like an abusive relationship, I keep coming back, so...
Do they really have a 50% scorpion rate?
Yeah. I mean, most of the people that I play do, but, I just hit the random button because I'm like, fuck it, I'm just going to pick whoever, because you're all going to be Scorpion, I'll just be whoever they tell me to be, so... And in addition to Mortal Kombat, bunch of Game of Thrones and Archer, so...
Yeah, I've just finished Book 5 in Game of Thrones, and we've also been watching all the TV series, and I absolutely love that series so much. But it's crazy, I think, more than, and there will be no spoilers, by the way, for the folks listening, but I think more than any other season before it, this current season is the one that's splitting off more from the books, I think, than any other season yet. Would you agree?
It would have to. I mean, if you did Feast for Crows outright, you could do like 3 or 4 seasons. I mean, that was a long read, and it made a lot of sense at the end, and it was very fulfilling at the end. But until you got there, it was like, really, she's still lost. She's still lost in the woods, really.
Yeah, they've essentially condensed Book 4 and 5 into this current season because there's a lot of like wandering around of characters, and I think they're going in the right direction with the TV series because they're narrowing some of the focus of certain core characters. They're eliminating certain characters altogether and replacing them with other characters that we've come to know throughout the TV series, which I think is a smart move. I don't want to go too much into the details because I know how some people are with their Game of Thrones watching, but how are you liking the season so far, Marcin?
I think it's pretty eventful. I don't know if it's as shocking as were the previous ones, with the exception of the last episode where I guess people have an issue with, but I don't see the problem with what happened. I think he needs to die, but I didn't see the problem per se with the episode. So, but yeah, he totally needs to go.
So if you read the books, never mind.
Yeah, let's just leave it at that.
Right.
No spoilers, please.
Just in terms of
No
the
spoilers. I did see this hilarious GIF on Reddit earlier in the week where it showed the two actors, the actor who plays Don Greyjoy and the actor that plays Ramsay Bolton. I don't know their real names, but it's showing Ramsay. He's like on set or something. He's like in like almost like an auditorium. There's some of the other actors and actresses there. Sansa's in the background, and they're all just kind of talking. And the camera zooms in on Ramsay's face as he looks over and sees someone coming in, and it's Theon. And Theon they both like lock eyes, and the camera zooms in really close on Theon, and you see him like get shocked, and you see that almost that reek look on Theon's face, where he's just like really he's kind of quivering, he doesn't know what to do, and it zooms out, and he drops his bag, and then it goes back to Ramsey, and he gets kind of demented, weird look on his face, and he starts walking towards Theon, and as he gets close to him, it goes back to Theon. It goes back to Ramsey, and then Ramsey just breaks out in a big smile and hugs him. And it's just really funny just to see all that, because they're like in character for a moment, and then they completely break it, and they both like embrace and stuff. And
so this was just on the set, right?
Really fun. What's that?
That was just on the set, right? Whatever the GIF came from.
Oh, that was
Yeah,
from,
it was just...
I think they did like a musical for charity, and that was some of the comedy scenes they did in that thing. So.
Oh yeah, it could have been.
It
It did look like it was almost like in a school auditorium or something like that. But
Yeah,
it was really
definitely,
funny,
yeah.
and it just kind of made me realize how much I really do care for the characters. They've done such a good job in that series, just getting you invested in each character and everything. So I love it. Anyway, Vinny, what have you been up to, man? This is the first time you're on the show, so let everyone know, like, what's a week in Vinny's world like?
A lot of work. I have a long commute, so basically even an 8-hour day turns into a 12-hour day. I work in Philadelphia, so basically I live like way outside the city, and I take the train in. But I don't get a lot of time during the week to do stuff, but during the weekend, right now I'm preparing for too many games. I'm actually building physical cartridges, I'm printing artwork, and printing manuals, and testing games and stuff, so making sure everything works.
That's exciting
know,
stuff.
it's like-
I'm
it's like
actually
a
going to
month
be
away
moving
after
up
this.
closer.
Sorry.
No, that's a cool. I'm actually really looking forward to Too Many Games this year. Hopefully, a couple more of us from SEGA Nerds will be able to go there. But I was going to say, I'm moving up towards that area, closer to Philadelphia, here in the next few months, into New Jersey. So it's going to be quite the adventure for us going up there. But it'll be cool because I'll be that much closer to Too Many Games going forward. Copy, buddy. What about you? What have you been up to, man?
Ooh, what haven't I been up to? Lots of work for a start, and a cool thing that happened to me this week is that I went to the school candy offices in Mexico, which is kind of cool. They have this 2 floors with a really nice lounge, and there's like DJs, and they give you drinks and stuff like while you're there on a business meeting. And they also gave me this new headphones, which are really nice. And
For free?
Oh, nice.
yeah, for free. I went to the offices, and they were like, "Oh, well, we make a lot of headphones. Do you want to try out some of our new models?" And I was like, oh, "Okay." And he was like, "Okay, choose one from here." And he opened a door, and there was like this big showroom with lots of product there. I was like, "Okay, may I take these ones, the white ones?" And he was like, "Oh, you're choosing the aviators. Yeah, go ahead."
They didn't try to sell you any timeshares or anything like that?
No.
That's how it works when you have
It was like getting into a party, and everybody's like working there. This was kind of weird. I don't know. It was really quite an experience.
Was anybody wasted?
No, but some of them had drinks, which was cool. Like there was this DJ serving martinis, and that was cool. Like having to work in a place where party every day. Like,
See, that
I
sounds
could
like
do
my
that.
kind of office.
I was like, okay,
Yeah.
this place is cool. I would like to have more meetings here, and fortunately, it's going to happen. So I'm
And
looking
another
forward to
martini, please. Thank you.
that. Yeah. It was like having drinks while you were having the meeting. So yeah, it was a pretty nice experience. So I definitely recommend going to the school candy offices. The other thing, well, I have been really busy with work, and some friend of mine came and just gifted me some PlayStation 3 games, which I will discuss later on the show. And also, well, basically a lot of projects that I'm not able to talk about yet, but that's pretty much it.
Cool.
Yep.
Oh, nice. Now, because we've gone through like literally like 3 or 4 weeks of not doing the Nerdcast, I've built up quite a bit of pickups throughout that time, and I just want to go through pretty quickly and just kind of show some of them off, because I really haven't been up to doing too much. But first off, I completely forgot that I pre-ordered this a long time ago, and it just showed up in the mail. I got Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past comic book. This is basically, these were comic strips that appeared in Nintendo Power back in the day, and they basically compiled them all together into one big collection.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I haven't even gone through it really yet. I just haven't had the time, but it looks like a lot of fun. I was one of those spur-of-the-moment things that I ended up picking up and pre-ordering. And speaking of that, do you guys remember it was a Sega Saturn game called Skeleton Warriors? It was also a cartoon in the 90s. So what they actually had a Kickstarter a while back. I think we covered it on the website, but it was a Kickstarter for figures, Skeleton Warrior figurines, and I ended up donating to that, and I got them all in a few weeks ago. So I just want to know that I got this awesome card here that shows, I forget the main character's name. It's like Prince Light Star or something like that. I forget what his name is. But the one I like the most is the actual figure, Baron Dark. Let's see, you can kind of see it better there. They're really well made. I got a couple different ones, and it's really neat because there's just a regular skeleton. All the joints actually move and like a real, I don't know, human skeleton. So they're really well made. I got that one. I got a glow-in-the-dark skeleton. Let me see what else I got. I got these little. They almost look like the little enemies in the Halo series, like the little grunts or whatever. I don't know what.
I can see that. Yeah.
But you can take their heads off and replace them. They have all these changed body parts.
Did you pull them out, or are you just keeping them in plastic?
I pulled a couple of them out just to kind of mess around with them. I'm gonna keep the Baron Dark in his box, just because I love it. But I also have the Skeleton Warriors on DVD as well, the whole collection on DVD, which I go back and watch every once in a while. I really love that. That game is actually pretty good. It's one of the rare 2D side-scrolling Saturn games. You don't see a lot of those on that system.
Yeah.
And that's one of the ones that.
Get a ton in Japan, but yeah.
Yeah, but here in America we didn't get a lot of them, and I really enjoy that game. I went to a new retro video game store that just opened up in Maryland a few months ago, and picked up a couple Sega games. I got Jerry Glanville's Pigskin Football, which is a really weird football game. It's almost kind of the same idea as like Mutant League football, where you're running around, basically beating people up. You're beating your enemy up, but it's set in like medieval times. But the weird thing is doesn't use the standard football rules where you have downs and you pick plays. It's basically just one big play. It's probably closer to a soccer in that the play just keeps going nonstop. It's constantly going until someone scores. And it's I don't know, it's really weird. It's not as good as Mutant League Football, which I think is a really, really good game. But it's still it has its moments. And then I picked up Kids on Site on Sega CD, which is a digital pictures FMV game. I absolutely love the digital pictures FMV games. I don't know why, but anytime I can pick one up on the Saturn or the Sega CD or the 3DO, I always do it. And Kids on Site's one that I really want to play because my youngest son, Odin, is absolutely obsessed with like heavy machinery and tractors and things like that. So I think this is a game that him and I can play together. And I also picked up Forza Horizon 2 on Xbox One. It was like $35 at Best Buy this week. And lastly, I picked up The Witcher 3 on PS4. That is a good game. I will talk more about that later. But I am having a lot of fun with The Witcher. Really fun stuff. So, anyway, man, I know that was a lot. I'm sorry. I tried to run through it as quick as I could. But I think that's all of the games I've picked up here recently. But like I said at the top of the show, let's get in and talk to Vinnie, kind of about what he does and why he's kind of on the show today. So, Vinnie, can you kind of talk about your background and how you got started into kind of the indie homebrew video game development?
Yeah, basically, I've been programming for a long time. My father was an engineer. He always had like a computer around, and I've been doing BASIC since I was like 5 on a TRS-80. I mean, it wasn't serious programming, but I could like make it do stuff. I could, you type in this text and it would go to this other part of the program. It's like, yeah, like a branch, but.
That's awesome though. Like I remember always wanting a computer so bad when I was little, and my dad would never ever get us one. And I'd like to think that if he would just have done that early on, that I would have gotten into coding and I would have wanted to learn how to program and things like that. We never were able to get one. I always wanted one. So you're lucky that you had computers around at such a young age.
Yeah, but then again, it actually had a cassette drive, so playing games was almost not possible. They would fail like 50% of the time. A lot of times you would get a bad cassette. It was I think we bought like maybe 2 games for that thing. It was not a system you played on. It was something you did some code on. But I didn't really get serious about coding until like college and high school. So yeah. But as far as this making things for the Nintendo Entertainment System, for the Sega Master System, for the Genesis, I didn't start that till around 2011. Basically, I'd always wanted to do this, and I had gotten laid off in 2011, so I had a little bit of time. I think it was like about 3 months before I found another job. But yeah, so I had some time and I got started. I started with the NES first because they're out there, everyone's doing it, so it was more popular. And then a year later, I found the Sega Master System guides, which is the things I really wanted. And yeah, basically I just got started.
What was it about the Master System that kind of drove you to wanting to develop for that platform?
I think it was the TRS-80. Basically, originally we had like a TRS-80, and then we went into the X86 like a little later. And pretty much, that was a computer. You could program it, you could type stuff in it, you kind of knew what was going on in the background. With the Master System, that was my first real introduction to a console. It's like, oh, it's easy to play the games, it's very reliable, but what's going on inside? I don't know. And I always kind of had that curiosity, and then I thought, oh, hey, yeah, software engineers make good money. My dad makes good money. Maybe I should do that too. And then finally I had the skills, and like, oh, now I know what's going on here, and I'm really not impressed. But it's still a fun thing. But yeah.
That's pretty awesome. So next up, I was with Bilal. He's one of the writers on our site when I was back in San Antonio. We were visiting a local game store in San Antonio, and he had gotten to talking to one of the owners of the store. And just kind of explaining to him that he likes to cover a lot of the Dreamcast kind of homebrew / indie development scene. And they got kind of in an argument where he was saying, the things that these guys are doing are homebrew and they're not indie developers. And they got into this kind of argument about what's homebrew, what's indie. So I wanted to ask you, like, what is there a difference these days? Because, I mean, basically, like, maybe 10 years ago, everything was like homebrew. There really wasn't, like, the term indie, we didn't really hear about it like 10, 15 years ago. Everyone was homebrew developers, but now you hear this term indie. So I want to get your thoughts on that.
Well, actually, to understand a little better, I used to brew beer also, but let's talk about beer, because the difference between homebrew beer and your little micro brewer is the same difference between your homebrew game developer and your independent game developer. If you're a homebrew developer, take it literally. You do it in your home. You don't have staff. You don't have many helpers. You might have one guy who does music for you in his house. But everything is done in the house. The printing quality is usually like your home printer. And it's a hobby. It's done for fun. You don't make your living doing this. And you do this in your spare time. Like, it might take me 80 to 100 hours to make a game, but that's spread out over like 3 or 4 months. I can't just spend like 2 or 3 weeks doing nothing but a game because, I have a day job. I have to do that. So homebrew is hobby done for fun. Your independent brewery or your microbrewery, it's somebody does that full time. They're not funded by a big brewer or a big financial business, like, Budweiser didn't buy them out or something. And they don't have this huge bank loan. But it's still a full-time job. They're doing that every day. They're selling the product to make money and make a living because they love it and they're trying to make a living. And I think that's the big difference between homebrew games and independent games. Independent games, they're trying to make a living doing something they love. Homebrew games, it's a hobby. I don't really care much about the quality. Well, care a little bit about the quality, but not a ton. I think that's the big difference.
Right.
But also, one thing might. I think that one thing might lead to the other. Like, for example, where Daisuke Maya started like making this homebrew game called Cave Story, and then ended being an indie developer because the game got popular.
Yeah,
so,
that happens a lot.
Yeah.
I think that's a great analogy, though, using the homebrew and microbrew beer. I like that. Actually made a lot of sense.
Homebrew beer might love wine eventually.
Well, that's what the word's mainly used for, isn't it? For beer?
Yeah, mostly for
Homebrew,
beer.
yeah.
I mean, homebrew originally was just for beer. It's like, oh, now everything can be homebrew. You can...
Make it in your bathtub.
You would home make a sweater or a basket.
Right.
A basket, but technically it could, I don't know.
So you've been developing across the NES, the Master System, and I think you've done some Genesis work as well, right?
Recently, I haven't released any Genesis games yet, but I've actually finished a program. But yeah, it's not.
So what I want to ask though is,
sorry.
Between the between the NES and the Master System, what's your favorite system to develop on? Like, what do you prefer?
I hate to say it, but I prefer the Master System, and there are actually reasons. The Nintendo Entertainment System was built in 1983. It uses about half of the video RAM as the Sega Master System. In order to get the same amount of colors on the screen, they use a lot of tricks. Like, there's tables that say, okay, take colors from this palette instead of this palette. And there's also, they do that with their sprites too. And they take away some of the features that the SMS has for just basic, like their tile data is ROM, it's not RAM, you have to have special chips to do that. If you know how old televisions draw their screens, they do horizontal line, horizontal line, horizontal line, they do it like 100 times, and they do a vertical line. The Nintendo can interrupt on the vertical line, but it can't do it on the horizontal lines unless you have a special chip in your cartridge. So to cheapen their costs, they cut their video RAM in half, and they pushed, if you want to do something special, you have to add hardware to your cartridge. So basically, they made their consoles cheap, and they pushed all that stuff onto their developers, which is why NES games are actually kind of hard to develop. The Master System is actually a lot easier. Everything's available to you. You can do those scanline interrupts. There's a lot of effects that are required for that, and it makes the light gun easier to use. And it's a real 16-color system. It's not a 4-color system with multiple palettes. It's really, you can do 16 colors wherever you want. And the Genesis can do more. Actually, the Genesis and the Sega Master System actually use the same tile data, but with the Genesis, they stole some ideas from the NES, like with the multiple palettes and giving you more options. The Genesis can do a lot more, and it sounds really nice, but it's got 2 sound chips. It's you can get a lot better product, but it's a lot more work. I really like the Master System because if I think of something, I can just do it. And with Genesis, I really have to plan a little bit more. Like, okay, I could do it this way. I could get both these backgrounds to scroll at the same time, and I could have this one background like scroll at different heights, so it could look really funny. But so it's more work to get out something similar. So.
Now, can you explain basically the whole idea behind the bits to the layman out there? Because I mean, back in the day when we were playing the Master System, the NES, and the Genesis, everything was about bits. It was about 8 bits, it was about 16 bits, 32 bits, but no one really knew what it was. It was just, hey, this has more bits, therefore it has to be better, right? So can you actually tell us what that meant?
Well, the thing is, the important thing is your video card. It's like your home computer. Your video card determines how well your games go. You could have a crappy processor, but if you have an awesome video card, that thing can process the polygons, and you can have the same performance as somebody with a better processor. The same thing like the TurboGrafx 16 and the Genesis. The TurboGrafx basically had the same chip as the NES and the Atari 2600, but the games looked amazing. They even had better colors in the Genesis because they had a good graphics chip. So your processor doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is your sound chip and your graphics card. You look at those two things. So, and when I talk about bits, do you remember the old computer monitors with CGA and EGA and VGA?
I've heard of VGA.
Okay, yeah. First there was color graphics adapter, which is you have 2 bits for each color. So basically you can get 4 colors. And that's what the Nintendo Entertainment System is. It's a CGA system. And I know some Nintendo people are going to go down my throat because it has multiple palettes, but really they're using tricks to get more than 4 colors on the screen. So, but the Sega Master System and the Genesis, they are 16 color systems. They're like EGA.
So they were more true and loyal to the word rather than Nintendo in a way.
Yeah, but then again, the Super Nintendo wasn't really a. They're talking about their data bus, and their data bus doesn't matter for performance. Like when you say 16-bit, they're talking about, oh, I can copy stuff on my data bus that fast, but that has nothing to do with the graphics on the screen. Really, it's the Nintendo Entertainment System was a CGA system. The Master System.
All
Genesis
about that bus. About that bus.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, Master System and
Thank you,
Genesis
Megan
were
Trainor.
like EGA systems, and I think Super Nintendo and TurboGrafx were like VGA systems. I don't really know a lot about their details, but they were putting more bits per color. So, and
Yeah,
Sega, the Genesis used tricks like the NES did to make their 16-color system kind of look like a 256-color system, but it got there. But you could tell that the TurboGrafx and the SNES had better palette.
Yeah, they have brighter colors on the PC engine.
Yeah, probably because they're probably putting a whole byte to each color, so it probably is a VGA system.
That you can take a look at that when you play Fantasy Zone on the Japanese version on the Mega Drive and the Fantasy Zone version of the PC Engine or / TurboGrafx 16. The one on the PC Engine looks way better, even if it's the same Sega game.
Yeah, the colors look better, but the gameplay is horrible. But
yeah,
it's only one thing. The screen doesn't scroll fast enough, so you just keep running into enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Because they appear at the edge of the screen, and oh, you're there. You're not in the center of the screen where you can actually have time to dodge. You're kind of screwed.
I have a question. For example, when you develop for the Master System and the Mega Drive, do you use any particular language rather than Nintendo? I heard that Nintendo used to use C+ or C, while Mega Drive used assembler directly. But I don't know if that's pretty accurate.
It depends on who was doing the developing. For a lot of American developers, I think they had like C compilers that could get into there, but for a lot of your 8-bit systems like the NES and the SMS, most of it, if you were doing it in Japan, you were probably doing it in assembler, because that's the way you get things to run the fastest and you deal with your overhead. Now, for Super Nintendo and Genesis, it's a lot easier to do things in C. They've got a lot more room to work with, and I think that's kind of when the switch happened. When people stopped doing stuff in assembler and started doing stuff in C.
Okay, from what I heard, most of the Japanese developers were using assembler for the Mega Drive because they wanted to use more of the hardware directly. But I don't know if this is accurate.
They're probably thing is the way the televisions work is you have to put a frame on the screen every 60 seconds. So you have a very small window in order to write stuff to your video RAM and make all your decisions. And if you do that in assembler, you can do that a lot faster than you could in C, because C is they're gonna turn it into assembly instructions, but it's gonna be more than you probably anticipated. So they're just trying to deal with that 60 frames per second rate.
Yeah, we deal with that Escaline today. Sorry, no, it's just that complementing what he was saying is that we deal with that Escaline today because we are not able to reproduce that CRTV on the actual port, so they had to make some filters for it, and that was a trick the developers used to do back in the day to deal with that frame skipping on the Escalines. Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Oh no, I was gonna say last year, Vinny, you and I were talking. I think we were playing one of the light gun games that you had developed, and you were telling me about the difference between the NES's and the Master System's light gun technology, and how you preferred the Master Systems over the NES's. So I wanted to just kind of go back to that conversation and have you explain about the differences between the two, because I don't think most people out there know, for one, that there really is a difference between how the NES and Master System's light gun tech work. So can you kind of explain that?
Yeah, sure. Thing is, they both have the same light gun. Basically, it's not really a gun, it's a camera, and it can detect bright and dark. And that's all it can really do. It's the hardware in the Master System that makes it different. Now, for your Nintendo Entertainment System, you have to spend 1 frame of black screen, where you blank everything on the screen to make sure someone's not pointing it at a light bulb so they can get like a free hit. And then you you detect the blank screen. And then, okay, then the next thing, you make your first target white. Then you go and check, okay, did my gun see white or black? If it saw white, I hit it. If it saw black, I didn't hit it. And you repeat that for every object. So you have to sacrifice like 3 or 4 frames out of your 60 frames per second to make your light gun work. Now the Master System, because it has scanline interrupts and better hardware, it's actually a lot easier. With the Master System, it takes 1 frame. You turn the entire screen white. And as it's drawing every little scanline white, eventually it'll check the light gun after every scanline. Every horizontal draw, it checks for a white color. And if it finds it, you know your horizontal distance. And the Master System, I don't know how it works, but it can also detect your horizontal too. So with Nintendo, you're getting a yes-no to your hits, and having to do like 3 or 4 loops. But with Sega, you're doing 1 loop, and you're getting an XY coordinate. So even if you miss, you can still tell where it is on the screen. That's why when you play Gangster Town, you do that target shooting. You get the little red dots where you, even if you miss the target, because it still knows where you shot. You get XY coordinates. It's a lot better. Did that make sense?
Yeah.
That stuff is so over my head.
Sorry.
No, it's crazy.
A lot of it, you know how the old TVs used to work, and it's once you understand the scan lines and the horizontal and vertical, then you kind of can get it. But it's
right. I personally love the fact that like even the most basic of games back in the day, like the 8-bit era, are so like, to me, and I think to most people that don't know game development, I mean, it's so above our heads.
Complex.
And then it incredibly complex. But then you look at like a game, say like The Witcher, which does all this crazy stuff, and to I don't know, for me to see that game running and being able to do everything, it's magic for that to happen. I have no idea how any of that
came out of
works.
nowhere.
Just, I put it in my the ether is where it came from.
well, I didn't know about 3D graphics development, but I don't want to go into that. That's a horrible, long, lengthy discussion about how 3D graphics works and how you change from your Genesis to your PlayStation 1, and basically everything's been like the PlayStation 1 except, better processing, more polygons per frame, but well, it's not really polygons per frame, it's probably polygons per second, but I don't know how to do their metric.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I took a whole college course on that. That's a complex field.
Oh God, let's not do that. No, but so the first year that I think we met is when I bought Bread and Butter on the Master System, which is a really neat game. And this, the second year was kind of like the Coconut Caper. That was like a spiritual follow-up to Bread and Butter, right?
Yeah, they're both like single-screen arcade games. They're both very similar to the original Bread and Butter was like kind of like Donkey Kong and Frogger. It had 3 very separate stages. The Coconut Caper was kind of like one stage repeating, but in order to make the game last longer, I actually randomized the enemies and had more variety in the screens. So no playthrough was exactly the same on Coconut Caper. So. Well,
the cool thing that I think
very unlikely
between the two games, not just looking at the software, but some of the actual physical aspect of the game, is with Bread and Butter you use an actual Master System cartridge that you probably I assume had to cannibalize an existing cartridge to get that working. But with the Coconut Cake Caper, what's really neat about it is you actually went in and created your own Master System cartridge. Like it's a custom one. It's actually really neat. It's completely white, and you did it all yourself. Tell me why you decided that you wanted to go and basically manufacture your own cartridges, and the kind of the process that goes into doing something like that.
Well, obviously, you don't only. There's only a limited. Sega's not making those cartridges anymore, so there's a limited number of them out there. And you don't necessarily want to destroy good games. There are a lot of really crappy sports games, like I think Great Golf is. No one's going to miss that. I could be wrong, but.
I think that's fair to say.
Yeah. But yeah, thing is, it would also be cheaper for me not to go to use game stores and look for like games for systems that aren't really super popular. Just be able to make as many as I want on my own, even if the cost is higher. Now the Sega 3000, the SC3000 survivors, that's like an 8-bit computer system Sega released in Japan or something. They had used this product called Smooth On, which is basically used for like recreating figures and props in movies and stuff. Pretty much you take your figurine, you pour like a mold solution over it, and overnight it hardens, and then you cut that in half, and then later you can pour like mix this thing, and rather than having hot plastic, you mix this thing which becomes hot plastic, these two chemicals, and then it hardens inside the mold. And then like 10 minutes later you open your mold and pop, you've got a cartridge piece.
Oh.
Now, the SC3000 survivors did that well. I did not. They're not the same quality as the old Master System carts, the one I did. And actually, I got a lot of complaints online when I first sold the first batch online. No one really complained at the show, but some people online complained, and I had to go back to the old carts. So I'm still looking for ways around that. I'm still looking for ways to do the molding better. And a lot of people are. If you go on SMS Power, there's like 2 or 3 threads of people just trying to figure out how much it costs for a good plastic mold or how to do this through Smooth On again. But yeah, it's a big problem for Sega developers. If we could, that would be the. There's a lot of software developers, but very few physical game releases. If someone could actually make a mold for Master System cartridges, it would be like a dam bursting. You'd see like 8 or 9 releases a year or something. It could be that high.
Interesting.
Oh wow, really? And that's all it's waiting for is just a good mold for the.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we've got people. The circuits are there. The circuit boards are not hard to develop. Some guy named DB Electronics actually has like one with a mapper on it, so you can make really huge games, even like games larger than. You can make games larger than they could support back in the day. You can make things like in the megabyte size for the Master System. It's
oh, wow, really?
Yeah. They actually have an annual coding competition at smspower.org, and this year they had 16 entries.
What?
Yeah, 16 entries.
That's awesome.
There are a lot of developers out there, and they're waiting for a good way to release it.
Man, so okay, so do you think that that's ever going to be a thing that's going to happen? I mean, what would actually need? What is? I honestly, I don't know, like, what it takes to release a mold. Like, what do they need to be able to do something like that?
Money.
Well, actually, but also the injector and the way of making them. When you do a mold, you basically got 2 pieces, and you make the material get inside, even if it's plastic or the silicone material, and you press the mold. But that whole thing of making. Well, the mold and the system, it's a little bit expensive. So if anyone like is hearing us out there and has this company for plastic injection or silicone injection, you guys can help out the homebrew system and make a really nice business out of it.
Well, people already do this for Nintendo games. I mean, if you want a Nintendo shell, they're cheap and they're new. You don't destroy old games for them. But unfortunately, the Master System love isn't there yet, but it's getting there. So soon, it should be somewhat profitable. But it's hard to say. I mean, the thing is, the NES has a large following, and they had a lot of people put money into it. But the Master System community is still trying to catch up. And once they do catch up, then you might see this explosion. So.
Yeah, sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
An explosion of silicon everywhere. I cannot wait for that day.
Yeah.
Boob job gone wrong.
Yeah. So I'm sure you've heard of the Retro VGS. It's basically a new cartridge-based video game system that's being put on by Mike Kennedy, the publisher of Retro Magazine, which I wrote for a brief period of time. The kind of the interesting aspect about the Retro VGS is he was able to get the Atari Jaguar molds. He was able to buy them and obtain them, and now so basically this new cartridge-based system that they're going to be developing looks just like an Atari Jaguar, but I don't think it's going to be as powerful. I think it's going to be meant to be kind of like the 8/16-bit era of games. But I wanted to get your thoughts on this, Vinny, about going back to a cartridge-based system. Do you think something like this could be viable in today's video game market?
It would be a niche market. I don't think you'd break mainstream. It's just too convenient to.
Right.
It's too cheap for companies to print like a 2-cent disc, and it's just too cheap for companies to make something download only. It's like, oh, we have no packaging costs. Oh, that's so bad, but we get to keep our money. Yeah, basically that's. I don't think, but there are enough collectors out there, and there are enough people who remember the olden days that there's actually a market for retro games. I mean, there's conventions for retro games. So they might see small success in the retro gaming community, like with the Retron 5 and those clone systems, but I don't know if they're going to see mainstream success. And also, I don't know anything about the details of the VGS.
Yeah, I don't think they released actual hardware specifications or anything like that up to this point. I do think they're going to be looking to go to Kickstarter to fund something at some point, but I think they're just trying to get the word out at this point. But do you think, for you as a homebrew developer, would that be something that might pique your interest, depending on some of the hardware specifications?
That very much depends on the hardware specifications, because I don't know if the skill set that you need for doing retro games will be equivalent to what you need for this thing, because are they going to use tile-based graphics, or are they going to use a full frame buffer? That's very different programming methods. We're going to have gigabytes of memory or kilobytes like we do now. If we have no memory limitation, then hey, that's very different. CD quality sound or chiptunes, and if there's no memory limitation like it's in gigabytes, then we could use high-level languages, and basically all those skills that you develop doing these homebrew games for the old systems, they might not apply. And again, it very much depends on the internals of their thing. Until I see a developer's kit or some kind of guide on how to program it, I really can't say.
Fair enough. But there's been a lot of just recent and really high-profile digital games that have basically been taken away, and people can't play them any longer. PT from Konami is a big one. There's been other ones, like some of the ones from SEGA even. I mean, they just took down a lot of their handheld mobile games. They removed them from the service. So I wanted to kind of talk about that. How important is physical media in the game industry today, with the idea that digital games don't have the permanent stay that the physical cartridges do, or even physical media?
Well, you have to look at it from the game company's perspective, unfortunately, which and you have to assume they don't care very much about the customers. Well, they probably do, but not too. The thing is, they care about their income, and they want revenue, so they have to cut costs. And if you don't have to physically release games, that's your packaging cost goes to zero. That's why they went from cartridge to disc. Cartridges were maybe 10, 20 bucks to make a cartridge. Discs are a couple cents a disc. So and you get more memory storage, so that was a no-brainer. And this download thing is also a no-brainer. Hey, I don't have to print discs anymore. I don't have to print expensive artwork. I don't have to print manuals. They're saving money by doing download only. And also, you think when you go back and you play a game that you bought 10 years ago. Actually, I have the Fantasy Zone. You can see it.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the PC Engine one. When I go back to play this, NEC doesn't get any money for that. So, while it may be enjoyable to me, the game company doesn't care. Because even though technically I am furthermore interested in their products because I remember Sega. Have they done anything new recently? Maybe I'll pick up some of their new games. But they don't directly make any money because you play one of their old games. So that's not really a concern to them. It's like, I don't care if you can play this game later. As long as you can enjoy it in the 1 year window that we make most of our profit, that's all we care about. So if you only look at profit, then yeah, the all digital distribution makes sense. It's a lot cheaper, they keep more of their revenue, they pay their people, they give their shareholders money, it's great. But for people, it's not so great. Unfortunately, there's always going to be a desire to save this stuff, so I think it might lead to more hacking, or more storing of consoles. Or some things I've read news stories about people saving the game to a PS4 and selling it on eBay or something. So it's a pretty big investment buying like $400 console and downloading one game and then reselling it for like $600. That's wow. But more things like that might happen in the future.
Man.
Yeah.
Why don't we go in and actually try to play a couple of your games now? I think that'd be kind of fun. What do you think? Yeah, we'll see if this works. We've tried to do it a couple times now. We'll see what happens. But I think I loaded up Bread and Butter, and let's see.
Yeah, hold on. Sorry, it's getting ready. I gotta turn on the light. So go load it up.
Let's see. All right, what does it look like, guys?
Yeah, it looks fine to me. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's Bread and Butter World. That's the new one for this year.
So far, so good.
All right, well, let's load a different one. Oops, sorry about that. There we go.
Oh yeah, the first one. That was the original program was 2012. This is the bug fixed one in 2013.
Oh shit! He died.
Don't worry.
What were you going for in this one?
You want to collect 9 eggs, and then the next level will start. And don't worry, the chickens won't move in the same patterns. When you climb, it's automatic, so you don't have any control of your character when you start climbing. So you have to make sure it's good when you start.
There we go.
Oh, you got one.
All right.
Yeah, they keep appearing on rows, on the top 3 rows. They don't appear on the bottom row. But down on the 2 rows by the very side, 2 bottom rows, those are safe zones. Although I don't think it's going to help you very much.
I like how she's purple. Is she wearing a nurse's outfit?
It's supposed to be a chef's outfit, but thing is, I can't describe this to the gamers, so if you think it's a nurse's outfit, it's a nurse's outfit. I'm not going to describe it to the person playing it, so. One more?
How do you come up with the term like bread and butter? Like, where did that come from? Oh shit! Oh my god! Now I see.
Yeah, you're in the farm now. You're in the barn now.
Cow udders.
Yeah, you just gotta collect the gray milk. It's better to jump to the other side. Sorry.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, this the path to your right is the easiest path to jump, and you're gone.
Oh man.
No,
So that's kind of like a Donkey Kong style game, right?
Who is Donkey Kong?
Yeah, the first
Donkey
game
King.
Donkey King.
Yeah, the first level is climbing, but there's a third level. It's like Frogger, where you're on a balloon and stuff. But this is the coconut cake caper.
So this is essentially like the second release in the Bread and Butter series, if you could call it that, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, this is everything is like the climbing level. It's just the enemies are somewhat randomized, and oh, you got 4 eggs. That's a bad luck of the draw.
Shit. So this one you can actually control. You can control when you're actually moving up the ladder, though, this time.
Yeah.
Stop and wait, right?
But yeah, but the thing is, in the other game I had like Mario jumping physics where you can change direction in midair. Here it's more like Mega Man physics where you can't. So you have to know where you're jumping. And it actually makes the game a little more. I probably should have stuck with the original controls.
Huh?
But here you can actually eat cake and get free lives. You're not just stuck with 3 lives like the other games, so.
It requires a lot of skill.
It's an old school arcade game. It's just meant to be like, without the difficulty, you just breeze through it and it wouldn't be much fun. They use difficulty to lengthen out the game, and sadly I've done that too. So.
I love it. It's a lot of fun. Unfortunately, you can't hear any of the music.
Yeah, I'm not very good at music. It's mostly just sound effects, like when you jump or when you get hit or when you collect something.
Mm-hmm.
I usually work.
So basically,
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I usually work with a sound guy for the Nintendo games, but unfortunately, he's not really willing to do Master System. He's willing to do Genesis, yeah, but oh, you got the balloon too soon.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Son of yeah. That's the Coconut Cake Caper. That's a hard title to kind of say. Try to say that 4 times fast, anyone out there. You can't do it.
It's the second nerd.
Yeah, that was a pretty bad choice of title. Yeah.
Bread and butter and the Coconut Cake Caper. The next one has to be what, all D's, right? We're going all B's and then C's for the alliteration purposes.
Yeah.
What should it be? The Dongmus Dongle. I don't know.
Donkey Kong's Dongle Dilemma.
Yeah.
That's a bit of copyright infringement, but okay.
So you're probably going to have. Or can you talk about what you plan on showing at Too Many Games this year, or is it too early to do that?
I can talk about anything I want. I mean,
yeah,
there are no legal agreements. It's all
take that, corporations.
Suck.
Yeah, there's no corporations. It's a homebrew. I'm doing it for fun.
No one tells Vinnie Mac what to do.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, but also no one pays Vinnie Mac to do this, so it's it evens out. It evens out. Yeah, right now I'm releasing. I don't know if it shows up very well. There should be Bread and Butter World. This is actually a side-scrolling platformer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's very much like.
I have that. Can I play that one?
Yeah, sure. It'll look a lot.
Okay. All right. Let me.
Hmm?
What's that?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. I didn't know if I was supposed to or not, so I was. I didn't want to.
I mean, it's your show, so.
No. I mean, if you weren't ready to show it, I didn't want to do it.
Actually, this was a competition entry. I mean, the software's already been released. It's already a free download. Like, you go on smspower.org, most of my games are free downloads. If you want to pay for a physical version, you would go to the convention and do that. It's basically just the premium. So you could download this for free and play it right now.
Oh, nice.
All these games.
That's nice. Where can they download it?
smspower.org. Go to your homebrew section and look for, like, Dragon Feet as the author, or just type in Bread and Butter when you search for homebrews. It should be relatively simple to find.
I love that she does like the Van Damme splits as she jumps.
Actually, I think I was playing a little too much Alex Kidd in the Lost Stars, because he does those splits too.
Yeah.
Although this game doesn't have the screams.
What does GP stand for?
Game Police.
Yeah, those bastards. Oh!
Get the Game Police.
Those bastards, Game Police.
Gaming.
This looks like fun. So, how many copies are you gonna have at TMT this year?
Probably only 20.
Oh wow, that's not as much as usual, right?
Yeah, well, actually, usually I would do like maybe 28, 25. I think I only did 25 copies of Coconut Cake Caper, but I don't know, I didn't want to destroy too many games for this one, and I don't think I'm gonna do another physical release until I perfect those cartridges.
Yeah, that's a tough
although
one.
no one's really going to miss great basketball, I really still feel bad about destroying a copy to make this game. So.
Yeah, no, that's understandable. But I definitely want to pick up another one of your games. It's almost like it'll become a thing for me when I go to too many games. It's like that's the one thing I look forward to is picking up one of your games, and I absolutely love doing it. So I'm looking forward to it. So you have a booth there with the games going, and everyone can play it.
Yeah, basically, I'll be in the indie game developers, even though I'm not really an indie game developer in the sense of the
there
word.
You go, indie.
Yeah, I'm only indie in the sense that I don't have a bank or a board telling me what to do. But it's still technically I'm still homebrew because I don't do this for a living. But yeah, I'll be there. I'll be in a booth where I have the games playable. Also, I may or may not release a Genesis game this year. It's mostly done. It's just I'm waiting for my sound guy, and he's like super late. So I'm kind of like sweating. I'm kind of like sweating it out right now. If he delivers the sound on time,
damn sound guys, man.
Well, for the past 2 years, he's delivered like early and on time, and it's been good work. It's high quality stuff.
Well, we've got an in with Hideki Naganuma if you want us to make a phone call, and we can just have him whip you up a soundtrack real quick.
That's all right.
For free?
I don't think he can. The Genesis soundtrack in
Totally
like a month? Nah. Well, the thing is, my.
Naganuma!
Nah, it's all right. I mean, I'd be super embarrassed, but no, he hasn't failed me yet, so hopefully he's just being a little late. And regardless, even if he doesn't make it to convention, we'll sell it after the convention. I mean, it's. I can sell a lot of these things online. Basically, for games, I'll sell like a certain number at the convention. I'll sell an equal number online. So if I don't release the convention, it's not the end of the world. I release it afterwards,
right?
And I still make the same profit. So it's just time.
Vinnie Mac make his money.
Thing is, I pay him like $5 per game. So until I sell games, he really doesn't make money.
So before we move on to the rest of the show and get on to the news and everything, where is the... So if people basically want to, hearing this now, they want to come and actually go play some of these games, where is the best place for them to go?
smspower.org. You go there, you go in the homebrew section, and you search for like bread and butter or coconut cake caper or something else, or Dragon Feet, my username. You'll find the stuff that I did, and also you'll find a lot more stuff. You'll find like all 16 entries for this year's coding competition. Somebody did a really good Tetris clone. I think there's like 2 Flappy Bird clones, and one guy got like a professional artist or something. It looks really nice and sounds really nice. But yeah, you will see a ton of games, homebrew games on SMS Power. There's a lot to download there.
Go check it out, smspower.org. Go check it out. And have a ball. So now it's going to be time to move into the news. Marcin, are you available to take us to the newsstand?
Sure. I shall take you there. So, first news story of the week is, does anybody own a record player on this podcast? Or...
I got one in storage.
One in storage. See, this story has me wanting to buy it just for this. So Shenmue and Streets of Rage are gonna have they're being remastered for vinyl. So for anybody who's a fan of either Streets of Rage or Shenmue or both, and you have a record player or you want to go get one, now you could. So the record label Data Discs, they announced that they remastered both the soundtracks and they'll be released later this year. So the original composer for Streets of Rage, Yuzo Koshiro, he actually helped with the remastering of Streets of Rage.
Oh.
So both Shenmue and Streets of Rage, both the albums are pressed on 180-gram vinyl, and each one will include lithographic prints, which is pretty nice. So both Streets of Rage and Shenmue, they're going to have 3 different versions to choose from. So you got first the 180-gram translucent blue vinyl with color and color effect. and that's only if you order it on the Datadiscs website. The second one, 180-gram translucent blue vinyl, and then the third one, 180-gram black virgin Heyo vinyl. All copies will include a traditional OBI strip. It'll have a spot varnish cover and a lithographic print, according to Datadiscs. So that looks pretty awesome. Same goes for Streets of Rage, except there's going to be a slightly different color. So theirs will come in red vinyl with a black splatter. It'll have the other one will be a translucent red vinyl, and again 180-gram black vinyl. So it's a lot to take in, but there are some people who are going to buy all three. I might buy the translucent blue one. And probably buy the record label at the record player at Best Buy. So pre-orders will begin on May 30th through their website. People who do pre-order early will receive exclusive editions of the soundtracks. So if you guys do want your exclusive stuff, if you're a collector, if you're an avid Shenmue fan or a Streets of Rage fan, you're going to want to get on that as soon as possible.
Now, the one thing that we
need to
keep in mind about this is from what I've been looking at or following their Facebook updates, it looks like some of the exclusive ones are going to be exclusive to Europe. I don't think we're going to be able to get them in North America, which kind of sucks.
That sucks. Big time.
Yeah. So they're about. Did you say the price on them? I think they're £20 a piece. I don't know if that includes shipping. I don't think.
Really? It's not that expensive considering. Well, it's a remastered. You got Yuzo Koshiro involved and stuff like that. I mean, the price is pretty fine.
It's $19.99 in pounds, of course.
Euros.
Which isn't bad.
Is it pounds or euros? Pounds.
Pounds.
I'm pretty sure it's pounds. Because they're based in London, so they still use the pound. They don't use the euro.
Yeah, they don't use euros. They don't like to be friends of the rest of the country.
Yeah, but still, that's less than the price of like a modern game, so that's
right.
It's pretty good.
Oh no, it's a good price for what you're getting, and the amount of effort that they put into it. $19.99 is not.
And quality and the kind of release you're getting, I think it's worth your money and every pound you're paying for it. So yeah, go for it. I think I would go for the Yuzo Koshiro remaster for Streets of Rage, which sounds more tempting.
Both, but you just have to remember I don't know what the shipping is, but just remember that you're going to be paying by pound.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Royal Mail is not that good on delivering stuff overseas or to other countries. They do take a lot of time. And I think their mailing system is not that good, but the price. It's pretty fine to get these releases. We don't get them every time.
We should talk before we move on. Let's talk a little bit just about the choice of these because I don't know about you, I love the Streets of Rage soundtrack, and in fact. It's kind of crazy that this has happened because the past 2 weeks or so I've been listening to the Streets of Rage soundtrack just as I've been driving, as I've been working out at the gym, going running. I've been listening to it, and so when this news hit, it came as a complete surprise to me.
Yeah, no,
because man, I've really been in like a Streets of Rage groove the past few weeks. I've been playing the game with my kids, and I've been listening to the soundtrack, and just knowing that it's coming out on vinyl is awesome. And then Shenmue, man, that is why haven't we had that before? It seems like these two are some of the most perfect games to introduce Sega soundtracks on vinyl. I don't know what you guys think about that.
Yeah, I think we're pretty lucky. Most of these releases only get on Japan, where you got the CD releases they're doing for remasters of other games, and it's totally great. Yuzo Koshiro was kind of rise the bar back in the day in the 60-bit era, because this soundtrack in particular was a really turning point for the Japanese industry. They actually remember very well what Yuzo Koshiro did for the Streets of Rage. When you ask them about who is one of the guys who made the best soundtrack back in the day, they always answer Yuzo Koshiro, and actually was the first guy to be credited on the screen for the soundtrack on a game. So it's pretty amazing we're finally getting this. And looks like Sega is doing a lot of deals for licensing these days, and it's pretty exciting what they have in mind. You know, lastly we got this Buster deal, and now we're getting the soundtracks. Maybe we're gonna be getting better things as the months come by.
Are you saying something? Shenmue 3? What is that what you're saying?
No, I don't think we're getting a new Shenmue game. But I think we're gonna get more licensing and stuff.
The important thing though is that even though we might even be like far away from a Shenmue 3, things like this keeps Shenmue in the public conscious. You know what I mean? Like it keeps the Shenmue name out there. It keeps people wanting more Shenmue, and it's going to keep the drive to make a Shenmue 3 happen. And maybe it doesn't happen next year or the year after that, and maybe it never will. But the fact that there's these games or soundtracks or posters or all this other merchandise and memorabilia that's out there, it keeps the Shenmue name alive, and I think that's what's most important. So, Data Discs, thank you for doing this. Hopefully, it's just the beginning. Hopefully, this is like a massive success, and we get more of these, because I know for a fact I'm going to go buy both of these, because just outside of these, I've really been wanting to get involved in kind of vinyl collecting, old records and things like that. I just think it's such a neat thing, and I really want to get involved in that even before this. So the fact that I'm going to be able to get some of my favorite video games soundtrack on vinyl is just such a neat thing, and hopefully this is just the beginning.
The package is really pretty too, so it's worth it.
Absolutely. Marcin?
Yes. So, next thing in the news. So, we were expecting Hatsune Miku, the 3DS game, coming out this month, but they delayed it to September because reasons, I guess. I don't know if they gave a real clear answer. I can't give you a clear answer. Why?
Didn't.
Yeah.
Nope. It was really funny how Sega phrased it in their post. Basically, they didn't even say anything really about that it was delayed. They're just like, hey, look at this shiny new limited edition we have for you. Oh, by the way, yeah, the game's coming out in September now.
By the way, it got delayed. But look, shiny shit. By the way, it's getting delayed in September. Exactly, oh, but look, exclusive edition.
Oh, wait, it's coming out with Phantasy Star Online too, right?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. That's just delayed right now. It's still coming. It's delayed. It's coming.
Well, it's like your parents bribing, telling your kid, giving them something nice before they take them to the doctor or something. It's like that kind of thing. It's like here's a nice game, but now you're gonna get 50 shots. So.
Hey kid, we got your present by the way you got cancer.
Yeah. It's like, oh, but it's a nice stuffed toy though. Ah, so dark.
Oh, that's awesome. Take a weird turn. But yeah, so we're getting. So Hatsune Miku is supposed to come out a week or two later. Now it's going to be coming out early to mid-September for North America and Europe. But we are getting some sort of special edition. What can you tell us about this new special edition we're getting, Marcin?
I mean, you get the physical game, of course, so you get the game, obviously. Exclusive packaging, so it's going to look prettier, and you also get a 3-foot wallet chain, so you get a wallet chain that resembles Hatsune Miku's belt, which is pretty cool. And every copy of the game, so not only, I believe, the exclusive edition that comes out later, but every copy of the game will include 19 double-sided augmented reality cards. So it's those cards you get in the 3DS and they turn 3D.
They throw away
fun stuff. Yeah, actually I still have them. I have one on my nightstand, but it's just there because I just happened to find it on the floor. But yeah, so you get that in your box, and that's about it. That's about what made it exclusive.
Only for North America, because the European guys won't be getting this.
Right. That's also an important thing to say. It's only for North America.
Yeah.
That's America.
Oh, that sucks. Not only are they getting the game after us, they're not getting any sort of special treat. So.
Hey, but those guys got the Bayonetta Special Edition, and we didn't, so I think it's fair.
I guess if you want to look at it that way. There's somebody like, but I
this
don't
is
like
interesting because
I like this one.
This is the first Miku game that's going to be on a Nintendo system, so it'll be interesting because all the other ones have been on like the Vita and the PS3, so this will be
America.
Right, yeah, but I mean,
the
this is the first one we've gotten.
for yeah.
Yeah, the United States. This is the first one the U.S. got for the 3DS.
Yeah,
and it got delayed. So anyway,
yeah,
I don't know.
Sorry, Europe.
Sorry, not sorry.
Next news.
So next up, Morrison.
Sonic Boom. So there was a video recently describing the issue with Sonic Boom and how a lot of people seem to blame the failures of the game on Big Red Button. And this YouTube video is saying it might be more so Sega's mismanagement than Big Red Button. They just basically, they had to make a chicken salad out of chicken shit. So they had their hands tied and couldn't do much about, what they were given. So I think you guys remember the trailer that originally came out, was it last year? It was using the CryEngine. It looked pretty, it looked awesome, it looked fantastic, but it wasn't playing on the Wii U. It was played on a completely different engine that was more powerful, and that's why it looks completely different from the final product that you see, which is complete shite. So there, but the reason why it turned into that was because was Sega's mismanagement. And there are a bunch of reasons why. So I just want to open it up for discussion. So what do you guys think? Do you think it's primarily Big Red Button's fault? Do you think it's Sega's mismanagement? Do you think it's a bit of both? What do you think?
I think it's everyone's fault. I mean, everybody has a share for that mistake, and everybody have a part to do with it. Whether it was Nintendo, Sega, and Red Button itself. I mean, Red Button always obviously knew that what they were getting into before signing that contract. So they obviously had a share and to blame for that game. Sega does too, and Nintendo does too, because Nintendo was the one that gave them money and actually required this game to be an exclusive for their system, and also were the ones who were demanding a release date for this. And it's also a little bit unfair to be releasing these videos because we don't know exactly what happened. We don't know the terms of the contract. We don't know a bunch of confidential stuff for all of these companies. So all of these things are mere speculation because we don't know exactly what happened. But it's obvious that everybody has their share of blame on this development. It was more of a thing where everything can go wrong on such a short time with such unstable engine to work with Wii U.
Well, you don't need problems in development to make a bad game. I mean, I kind of like Final Fantasy VIII, but I remember like back in the 90s, a lot of people really did not like Final Fantasy VIII, but they were coming off a lot of success. Squaresoft was doing well. And it's very hard to tell whether your game is going to catch on in the greater community. Now, you can have playtesters test it, they can make sure it works. Whether they can tell you whether it's going to be a 9 out of 10 or something, that's kind of hard. It's like making a movie. It's very hard to tell whether your final product is going to be successful or not. The best way around it is to make mini games, but then unfortunately with the Sonic franchise, I mean, you get like one game every couple of years, so there probably will be another one. It's just this is gonna taste in your mouth is gonna last for a while.
It's what at the end of the day, looking at all this, it just makes me sad that there wasn't a PC release for Sonic Boom, because it looks like if there had been, it could have been pretty awesome.
Well, it's also more risk, because you saw the PC release for Mortal Kombat X. That was kind of not up to snuff. If they'd have gummed up the PC release worse than the Wii release, I mean, that could have been bad. But it's hard to say.
Yeah. So I don't know. It was a very interesting video to watch, and I don't know. I feel bad for so many people involved, because here's the thing, these developers don't come out and say, let's make a really bad game. You know what I mean? And they're probably very, very talented people at Big Red Button. They're probably really talented developers there and employees there, and just for whatever reason, it just kind of came out that this game just really didn't meet expectations and what people expected it to be. And I know that these people have to be disappointed in what ended up being the final product, and I think that they're probably far more capable of delivering a better game if they had the time, the resources, and everything else. But it is just a fascinating look into the development of Big Red Button, and hopefully at some point we'll be able to get people in the development and on the development team that will come out and actually talk on it on record, rather than just kind of being unnamed sources that were in this video.
I mean, a lot of crew management too. So.
Yeah. So. I don't know, just a fascinating video. I thought if you haven't watched it yet, I definitely suggest you do. You can go to YouTube and just search for Sonic Boom, Where Did It All Go Wrong? And you should be able to find it. It's by Unseen64 Tamaki. So go check that out. It's currently about 22,000 views, so it's a fairly popular video right now, so go check it out. And now it's time for our featured discussion, and this week we're getting a little silly with it. We're going to ask, what two SEGA franchises would you mash up to make kind of like the weirdest or silliest game? And I want to throw it out there to you guys. Vinny, since you're our guest, I'll put you in the hot seat starting off. What two SEGA franchises would you like to mash up to make kind of like the craziest game you can think of?
The craziest, I'd say Virtua Fighter and Cyber Troopers Virtual On. They're both 3D fighting games. You could do it, but one's like 30-foot robots and the other's like fighting people. So you could make them the same size, but then again, the robots have ranged attacks. So I guess you make Jackie throw stuff or something. I don't know. But that would be a really weird mashup.
That would be funny. Morrison, what about you?
Robots step on the people. Yeah.
I have two. So the first one is Sonic and Knuckles and Toe Jam and Earl. So that would be the game title.
Oh.
Yeah, that'd be a mouthful. And I guess I would play like Sonic Heroes, except they're not all holding hands, or they're, using themselves as a totem pole. I guess
they're just holding on to. They're holding on to Toe Jam's third leg. Is all they're all
exactly, or they're all behind Sonic, and they'll just die off screen, which would be a good drinking game, by the way. How many times can Tails and Toe Jam die? Yeah, I thought that'd be an interesting thing. The other one, now bear with me, I thought it was funny in my head, is Alien Isolation and Michael Jackson's Moonwalker.
That would be scary.
Now, I think that just speaks for itself.
I would love it if it was just Michael Jackson hunting you in first person. Like
that's exactly what I was thinking of, actually.
An alien Queen Michael Jackson.
It would be a hide and seek game, and I guess he'd have some traits from the Xenomorph, but I mean that's still debatable. You guys can, and then you can like beat it in the background, and then you keep hearing the music getting closer, so you hide in a locker or something. That could be funny.
you hide in a closet. But instead of being on the space station, you're inside Michael Jackson's mansion, and you're running around. You have to hide inside closets
like some
because he's looking for
Chronicles
you.
of Narnia.
He wants to take you back to bed with him. If he catches you, he takes you back to his bedroom and makes you lay down with him. But you hide in closets.
There's your
and,
next homebrew game.
Oh my God, that'd be amazing. Michael Jackson's stealth game. Michael Jackson Isolation. I love it.
What a scary name.
Yeah.
All right, Koki, what about you?
I think, well, for weird mashups, I think we can mix Mad World and it's Billy Hatcher and Mad World. We can do that. It's pretty weird. Like having the Mad World guys with such a cute world like Billy Hatcher one, or making a Where the Babies Come From, aka Project Roth with Bayonetta, would be also weird.
Bayonetta, holy shit.
Yeah,
I'm sure lots of people would love to be able to rub Bayonetta on their DS screens.
I think those games would be pretty weird to mix up.
Absolutely. So I have one that I think would be pretty funny. Basically, the title would be Knights of Rage, and it would be the Knights characters in a 2D side-scrolling beat 'em up, which I think would be so awesome.
So, like,
and maybe you would have like
Game Gems.
Yeah, it would be so much fun. Knights of Rage, and the name it just goes so well together.
I think that would work actually.
Like have like Elliot, like as he's like, and you have to get power-ups to transform into knights, and he's just a regular, so he's has like some very like primitive like fighting moves and things like that. But once you get these power-ups, you eventually transform, and then you can just kick major ass. I would like it. So,
I think that's fun.
That's our feature discussion. We want to hear from you guys though. Like, let us know like what you think would be some funny Sega mashups. I would like to hear what the listeners would think of. So basically, just the craziest kind of mashups you can think of. Also, let us know like some gameplay specifics as well, like what would actually happen in the game, everything else. I think that'd be a lot of fun. So let us know what you think. You can email us at seganerds@gmail.com, or just post a comment in the podcast thread, or even on YouTube. You could do that as well, and we'll talk about them and do that next week. But let's get into what we've been playing this week. Vinny, since you're the guest on the show, have you been playing any games? I know you've been busy. But have you had a chance to play any games this week?
A little bit. I hate to say it, but I really should play some more modern games. Unfortunately, I've got I don't know if you can see it here. This is actually the PC Engine version of Wonder Boy and Monster World. Well, Monster Land.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, thing is, the Master System version is very hard to play because there are no continues. Basically, you lose your health, you lose your potion, that's it, you're dead. With the PC Engine version, they have continues, infinite. So I can actually get to the end of that game. It takes like quite a bit, and also you can abuse the continue system to grind for gold or grind for magic. If you use the continue system to like grind for lightning magic, you can actually kill the boss by just standing there and pressing the magic button. Make the fight kind of a non-fight, but
I would really like to see that series continue. I love it. Okay. So what about you, buddy?
Who, Martin or?
Oh, me? Oh, okay. I mean, mainly it's been Mortal Kombat X. So the thing that I mentioned earlier, it's just really busy, and I guess it's easy for me to just log in, do a match or two, and then log off. So Mortal Kombat X has been what I've been playing recently. Portable wise, I'm still trying to beat Phoenix Wright versus Professor Layton. I like those kinds of puzzle games, so it keeps me occupied. And I feel guilty because I buy a bunch of games, or I've bought a couple games that I said I would beat before I buy a new one, and then I don't end up beating them. So then I have a backlog of shit that I have to get through. You know, Dragon Age didn't beat it. You know? Mortal Kombat X beat the story mode, but didn't unlock everything. So just a bunch of games I still have to beat, and I feel guilty. So yeah, that's
my life.
Oh well, I guess and Star Wars on Steam. See, there's the other thing. I bought because it was a good deal, and I thought, hey, why not? It's $20, and there's like 9 Star Wars games, and I like Star Wars, and I played maybe 20 minutes of The Force Unleashed, and then the rest of them are just staring at me. So yeah.
All right, Kopke, what have you been playing?
Okay, a friend of mine gifted me 2 games. The first one is this one, Saint Seiya Sanctuary Battle, which is the best Saint Seiya game I have played, and I love it. It's basically like a beat 'em up, and actually has, once you beat the bosses or the Gold Saints, which are the mini knights of the Zodiac, you have this basic arcade system where you got like a fighting game. It's like a mixture of fighting game and beat 'em up, and I'm loving it. I can understand why this game sold so much in my region, and definitively of the 4 Saint Seiya games I have played, this one is the best. I love it. One he took me is Dragon's Crown. I'm really loving this beat 'em up from Atlas.
I know
I
why
love the
everyone
artwork.
beat 'em up.
Yeah, two
Yeah,
reasons.
you do.
Two big reasons. Yeah, you love that one for that one. But I love it for the artwork.
So, are the Witch and the Amazon, is that right?
Yeah, basically you love it for that. But I'm loving the artwork and the system. It's pretty entertaining, I guess. So I've been playing this.
That's one game I have been trying to track down, whether Sega now owns a license or for Dragon's Crown, because Atlas published Dragon's Crown. I haven't been able to track down, like, for certain, does Sega now own the license for it?
Yes, yes they do.
I don't. You think so?
Yes, they do. No, yes they do, because recently Atlas and Alter have been releasing new toy figures for the Sorceress and the Amazon. And both in the back part of the boxes and in the part of the copyrights, it says Atlus/Sega. So Sega now owns IP. That's confirmed.
Boom! That just happened.
Yep. And let's go for a Dragon's Crown versus a Street Rage crossover for beat 'em up.
Whoa! And then add the Sega Hard Girls in there too. How about that? How about we do that, Kopke? I know that would be
let's make the whole Sega universe there. Yeah, you got to beat 'em up.
The main thing I've been playing this week is Witcher 3. This game, man. I mean, if you're gonna play, if you're interested in current generation games, I know some people out there tend to focus on the retro side of games, and that's perfectly fine because I steer towards that side as well. But just everything I've read, I've listened to podcasts and stuff, and just so many people have been talking so many good things about The Witcher. It really got me intrigued. So I went and picked it up, and I'm about an hour and a half into the game. I'm still really early into it, but it really is very, very good so far. I played a little bit of the first and second Witcher, not a lot. But this definitely feels like the most polished version yet. CD Projekt Red did a really good job on the game, and if you're interested in kind of like an open-world, third-person role-playing adventure game, this is definitely the game to get. It is a lot of fun. And the great thing about it is CD Projekt Red, they have a ton of DLC in the pipeline for The Witcher 3, but the thing is they're releasing it all for free. So you're not going to have to pay for any of it. You buy the game, you're going to get all the DLC for free, unlike pretty much every other developer out there that will offer you, day one DLC or all these like just ridiculous. What do they call it? Like when you have to season passes and things like that, just to try to get you get more money out of you. Basically, you go buy Witcher, you're going to get tons and tons of additional downloadable content. available at a later date, all for free. I definitely suggest the game. Go pick it up. I'm going to keep playing it, and so I'll probably have a lot more to say next week. But man, this game is really, really good. So
they're releasing all the DLC for free, right?
Yeah, that's the one thing. The cool thing, you know what that made me smile the most about this game? So I don't know if you guys buy like many PS4, Xbox One games these days, but when you do, very rarely do you actually get like a game manual anymore. Usually it's like a one-page insert that tells you not to kill yourself by playing this game. You know, it's basically just like legal warnings that are trying to. Yeah, it's just basically like legal warnings that's trying to absolve the company of any possible ramifications that could be had if you do something stupid. But the first thing that you see when you pick up or when you open The Witcher is this little red sheet of paper. And it says, Dear Gamer, first of all, we would like to thank you for your support. We really appreciate that you have decided to spend your hard-earned money on our game and hope that you will have a fun time playing it. Over 200 of us have spent the last 3 years working on The Witcher Thrall Hunt, and it is with great pleasure and humility that we present our game to you. At CD Projekt Red, we believe that when you buy our games, you're entitled to continuous free support, updates, patches, and bits of new and amazing content. We owe you that for believing in us and purchasing our game. To thank you, we have prepared something really special. 16 DLCs for you to download totally free of charge, regardless of the platform or edition of the game you own. We salute you for your support, and we wish you a fantastic next generation of RPG gaming. Man, is that not awesome?
Yeah, it is.
Like the thing that I'm trying to figure out is in what way do they benefit from free DLC? Is it just goodwill from the fans? It's like, oh, hey, they're nice guys. We'll buy more games from them, or like.
I think it's that. I think it's
right.
I'm sure they're leaving money on the table, but I think it's customer loyalty. It's like, hey, I'm going to buy a CD Projekt Red game because I know that they're going to take care of me as a customer. They're going to I'm much more likely to buy that. It comes with a full game manual. It comes with a universe compendium, and this is just the regular edition. This is not a limited edition that I bought, which actually comes with more stuff. It also comes with the game soundtrack as well, like a CD soundtrack. Ooh. So I've purchased probably every major PS4 release to date. This is I can't think of any other PS4 game that has come packed with this many add-ons and other little things like that in just the normal release. This is what it came with. So, man, CD Projekt Red, you guys are doing some pretty awesome stuff over there. So keep it up. So, go Sega.
Yeah.
But that's gonna end up doing it for this week. We will be back next week. We're gonna be doing some different things with the podcast, just a little bit. We're gonna tweak it a little bit. We want to, going forward, just spend a little more time in our feature discussion. We want to make that kind of an area where we can delve deeper into different video games, like Sega games, or different series and things like that. So you'll see some new stuff coming from us in the future during our feature discussion topic or segment. And I think that I'm really excited for that going forward. It's going to give you a reason to kind of delve back into older episodes of the Nerdcast, which maybe right now you might not need to do because we focus mainly on like the news and things like that. It's much more topical, but going forward, we're going to do some neat things with the feature discussion. I'm really excited with it. So, what was that?
No, it's like sounds like a serial, like radio drama or something like that.
On the next episode on Dragon Ball Z.
It'll feature like 25 minutes of backtracking and then 5 minutes of actual action. Dragon Ball.
We're gonna talk about
That's
the
what
cover of the game, and then on the next episode we'll get into it.
Let's just watch 25 minutes of Krillin like trying to find a place to go pee, and then 5 minutes of action.
Krillin getting owned.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh man. Anyway, I hate Krillin. All right, that's gonna do it for this week. We will be back next week. That's the Sega Nerdcast. We will see you guys later. Take it easy. Krillin sucks.